welcome everybody to Bases and Brews, episode number 82. I am Ben. That is Brandon. This is our weekly podcast where we talk baseball, beer, sports, and other alcohols. How are you doing this week?
I'm doing okay, but I think we're frozen.
Yeah, it does look that way.
What is going on?
Audio working? Yeah, the audio is working, just the
Okay.
video's
Okay,
frozen.
we're good.
All
I
right.
I
I don't
figured
know what happened.
I figured it out.
Okay. All right, we're all good. Now we're live. But yeah, how you doing this week, man?
I'm doing okay. One more day and then I get my day off, so I'm happy.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
How was your week?
Oh, it was all right. Busy. Just same as always.
Same old, same old.
Busy, always in pain. Just getting old. That's just how getting old is now.
Except for we're not old. That's the sad part.
No, we
Come
are
on, 30s are the
getting
new
there,
20s.
but I mean, you're not wrong. Except that I don't want to go out and go to clubs in the middle of the week anymore.
No, definitely not midweek.
I don't
Definitely
even
not
want to do
midweek.
it in the weekend, really.
Every
I'm like,
once in a
no, I'm
while it's
good.
fun.
Yeah, no, I agree. But
Uh,
but yeah.
what do you got on
All
tap
right.
this week?
I am drinking High Fade West Coast IPA.
Okay.
Ironically, the brewery is from like 10 minutes from my house, but the it's a West Coast IPA, I guess.
Okay.
Um, but yeah,
So what does the West
brewed.
Coast IPA mean? Does that mean it's more hoppy?
I think it's a little hoppier. It gets that like weed flavor a little bit.
Okay.
I mean, no, I'm seriously, that's what it is.
That's actually kind of funny.
It's a really dark IPA though. Like
Ooh, yeah, that is darker.
it's like it looks lighter because of the lights on the camera too, but it's actually darker than it looks there. But yeah, first impressions pretty damn good actually. Definitely very hoppy, but I'm all about that. So
Yeah, not my
yeah,
tastes. But
yeah,
so since I didn't rate it last week, I figured I'll just drink it again this week. Uh,
fair enough.
it's the Sugar Pine Porter Coca Vanilla.
Okay,
It's it's definitely interesting. We'll see. We'll see how more.
yeah,
See if my opinion on it gets any better. Because if I remember last week, I wasn't super impressed.
yeah. I seem to remember that was the case, but yeah, you never know. Changes.
Eh,
The more you have it, the more you get used to it, and you're
that
like, maybe it's not that bad.
honestly, sometimes that's all it is.
Yeah,
You just got it's an acquired
honestly,
taste.
let's be real. That's kind of what beer is. I don't know many people who liked beer when they first started drinking it.
I mean, that's fair.
Like
Uh,
when I first started drinking, I would drink like I think I tried beer and I was like, nah, I'm just gonna get mixed drinks.
to be fair,
Drank a lot of
a lot of the people
good
I knew were drinking very young, and
beer's cheap.
there was a lot of natty ice being drank.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yep. Yeah.
or the best beer in the world.
Nope.
In the world.
That's
In
the
the
only reason
world.
you think so. It's a
Pabst
nostalgia
Blue
thing. It's not
Ribbon.
real.
I gotta
That's
slip
funny.
that in there at least once every couple months.
But no, I when I first started drinking, I was drinking like gin and tonics and like I drank. I mean, I was younger, so obviously I drank a bunch of Red Bull and vodka. I mean, that was a classic for. I feel like for people our age,
In
once we
high
were in our
school,
early 20s,
not even that,
like
even in high school,
well,
that was a
I didn't
popular
drink
thing.
much when before I was 21,
Oh,
but
I
I was a
definitely
good
did.
kid. Nah,
uh,
but
yeah, a lot of my friends started drinking like me very early. And we started more with the hard alcohol because you could mix it like you're saying. You can make it taste good.
yeah, right. Yeah, you could make the fruitier drinks and
I
actually
really
have that
I really didn't
flavor.
get into beer until I don't know, my mid to late 20s. I've only really gotten into like beer the last like maybe 8 to 10
That's
years.
yeah. When I was in my mid 20s, I started to drink beer, but it was like Bud Light and like stuff like that. And then yeah, once I hit about 28 is when I started being like, oh, I actually like more flavorful beer.
Yeah, I mean, I always drank beer, but like I said, it was like the super cheap ones because that's what we could get. We had a system where we could go drink, crush the cans, recycle the cans, and get like 3/4 of what we bought the first time. And you could run that back for like an entire weekend and only actually buy beer once.
Right.
You always ended up with less every time, but like you ended up with enough to get you through the weekend.
Right. Also, I looked it up because I was curious if I was right. And yes, West Coast IPA is basically extra bitter, extra hoppy,
Okay.
and a lot of times has some citrus undertones, but I don't think this one's very citrusy.
Yeah, I don't. It doesn't sound like something I would like. I'd try it, but it doesn't sound like it'd be up my alley.
8.3% alcohol in this bad boy, though.
The sad thing is your IPA has got more alcohol. Your ABV is better than
Than
my
your.
porter.
That's funny.
Mine's only 5.5. That's weak. For a porter, that's
I
weak.
mean, that does explain why it's so dark, though.
Yeah,
But
it's true.
all right, let's get into some news. We're going to start in the NFL, where more news out of the Tua Tagovailoa situation. Basically, he says he doesn't really remember either hit that happened to him, which is not a great sign, especially since he kept playing after the first one.
People are saying that he should pull like a Kawhi and just never play for them again and just be like, no, you're trading me. You guys are incompetent. Fuck you.
Well,
I don't know how I feel about that.
I'm curious too, like, how much did he be like, no, I'm good, I can play? Because, like, I feel like a lot of players do that where they're like, no, I'm okay, I can play. I'm good, even when they're not.
Yeah,
So,
but still. Like, if you don't remember getting hit, of course you're going to be good. You just remember getting hit.
fair. But yeah, no, I don't know. It's weird. Um, there is going to be more punishment from the league about this whole situation.
I'm
Did
sure.
you see what's their coach, Mike McDaniels?
Yeah,
I think.
I think it's Mike, but it definitely is McDaniels. I'm trying to remember. He was a coach
did,
for the Niners last year.
yeah. Did you see his press conference at all this
No.
week?
I
It went
honestly didn't know
viral
there was
because
new news on the Tua stuff. I haven't seen that.
I mean that's really it. But his press conference this week, it was like after a practice. It wasn't like for this.
Oh, okay.
And he was like, does anyone have any questions that aren't about Tua and maybe about the Vikings who were playing this week? And all the reporters were just quiet. And he's like, I would really like to talk about football. And you could tell that like the reporters were being quiet and they were probably like, yeah, some things are more important than football. Like,
yes, but at the same time, like at this point, what are
no, I know.
like
But
things
also,
are in motion. He's still got to play a
also,
game. You should be asking about the game in some respects. You are
yeah,
right, though. Some things are bigger than the game.
but yeah, to play on your side of it too, like, um, I I also feel like the coach doesn't really have any say in those matters. Like he has to go through the doctors, he has to go through the league concussion guy. Like the coach is like, if somebody comes up and they're like, all right, two is good, and he's like, all right, go in. Like,
I mean,
I understand that he could have been like, no, after what we saw, you're not going back in. But if the
yeah.
doctor's clear him, what's he supposed to do? Be like, no, my star quarterback's not going to play?
So, I mean, yeah, you would. If this was someone
Wow.
like Mike Tomlin, Bill Belichick, hell,
Nobody would even be
even
talking
Kyle
about him.
Shanahan. No. I would be way more. It's the coach's fault. You got to protect your
Well,
player
okay,
because
because they have more control over their teams,
well,
top to bottom.
yeah, exactly. They could look at the doctor and go, he's good to play, right? And I bet you if it could be swayed, that's gonna sway it. Period. For
Yeah,
some of these guys,
no, that's fair.
he has no. He's his first year coaching,
Yeah.
and he's young too. He's like
Oh yeah, he's
really
like,
young.
I don't even know if he's 40.
I don't think he is.
I'll look it up.
Um,
But
so like it's a little different for him. I'm sure he was trying to do what was best for his team, not necessarily thinking about the bigger picture, which I also think some of those more tenured coaches would have thought about. Like you've heard
yeah, no,
Tomlin talking to Big Ben, like they know what's going on. The seasoned guys know what's going
yeah,
on, I think, a little bit more than some of the new guys. And I think that's part of this. I think if this happened with the seasoned coach, I think things play out a little differently, to be honest.
that's fair. He's 39.
Yeah, I was going to say, I didn't think he was 40 yet.
But yeah, so I don't know. Well, again, there will be more. More will come out about this pretty much the whole season. I feel like.
I'm honestly kind of bummed because McDaniel's, I think, going to be a good coach. He's got potential to be a good coach. He was good with the Niners. So
Yeah,
I want to see him succeed, but like this is like the worst thing you could have happen your first year coaching.
I don't think that this will like ruin his career though.
I hope it doesn't.
I think he'll still be assuming the Dolphins keep doing what they started off doing. I think he'll be good.
How long
We'll see.
is Tua playing this weekend? No, right?
I
No, he was
think
ruled
they
out
said
last
he's
week.
out this week. Wait, I think he cleared concussion protocol. Wait, no, that was last week.
Was
He
that was
cleared
last week? Right?
concussion protocol, but they didn't play him, so I think he's playing this week.
Oof, that'll be interesting.
I mean, it's been 2 weeks since that hit.
I mean, but if he didn't
And
remember him, like that's bad.
yeah, but how long are you supposed to wait? Like,
I
concussions don't last that long.
they can.
You're just more likely to get another one.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough. This is the razor's edge you got to walk is
Right.
making these decisions. That's why I don't envy
Oh.
anybody that has to make these decisions.
And that's what you sign up for when you become a head coach. I mean, it sucks, but that's what happens. But oh man. All right. Speaking of people fighting, the NFL owners had a meeting or had their owners meetings this week, and a few things happened. Uh, I don't know how much you saw about this, but
I heard
so
a little bit, but I didn't dive into it because I was like, whatever, billionaires fighting, whatever. I don't really care.
well, yes, but so basically the owners agreed to hold a vote on whether or not they'll vote out Dan Snyder as part of the owners group, and he'll have to sell the team. um, we've talked about this before because they've been talking about it for a little while, but this is the first time that the owners are officially saying they're gonna hold a vote on whether or not he is gonna stay owner.
Which means he's done. Like if they've gone far enough to
Well,
vote, he's done. I'm sorry, he's done.
I would say yes, except one, I don't know if they need like a unanimous decision to do that.
Ooh, that's a good point.
And two, we talked about last week how Dan Snyder hired a private investigator to get dirt on all the other owners. So, do you want to vote out a guy who might have dirt on you? And as soon as he is out, all that's coming out.
So,
Because these,
in my
as you
opinion,
said, these are billionaires,
yeah.
and they all will have dirt on them.
Oh yeah, all of them, dude. They're all dirty. I don't care what anyone. They're all dirty. There's something in there somewhere. But
Yep.
so what I think this is them publicly saying they're going to hold a vote. Basically, is them calling Dan Snyder's bluff.
That's
Because
possible.
all Snyder has to do is leak the smallest of like random details that an average person wouldn't know about. One of them, it does just one. Doesn't even have to be a ton of stuff. He just has to let something little go out for him to prove a point. Like, no, I actually do have stuff. We'll just throw this out there to show you that my bluff is not a bluff. I think this is a billionaire pissing contest at this point.
I mean, yeah.
And I think Dan Snyder loses. I hope he loses because I hope he loses, and I hope he actually does have a PI with a ton of stuff, and I hope he leaks it. I mean,
honestly, fair.
This could be the NFL Armageddon. This is epic, bro. I hope this happens. I don't know if it'll be good for the sport other than getting rid of bad owners, but it could be fun to sit back and watch the world burn. I'm just saying.
I agree. But also, these people are so rich that they're basically bulletproof from anything legal. So,
legal, yes, but could you imagine if like a quarter of the league's owners had like switched hands?
That's honestly one reason why I feel like they won't vote him out, because you don't want to set that precedent of this dude did something terrible, it came out, and now he's being voted out.
Well, especially if that guy's already publicly stated that he's been digging up dirt on you.
Right. Yeah. But
I don't know. I think this could be interesting. Like I said, I've laid out what I hope happens. You're probably more right, though. They'll probably hold the vote and be like, well, we tried, guys. And
yeah, I feel like this will be for show. Like, these guys don't want that precedent set where you can vote people out that have done something terrible, because again, most of them have probably done something terrible.
I feel like you kind of have to get to the kind of wealth they have. No?
I mean, unless it was passed down.
I mean, that's fair. That's pretty fair.
Then again, a lot of the people who grow up with that kind of money are terrible too, so.
When you're talking that kind of money, yes. If you were like, if your family owned a team, that's a kind of money that is unreal. But then again, some of those owners are not bad. Although I'm sure they still have skeletons. They're just not bad.
I am not generalizing. All rich people are not terrible people. But a lot of them are.
just the ones I've met. No,
right. No, that's not true.
That's not true.
I worked at a country club where the membership fee was $200,000 a year. Like, I met some people there that were awesome people.
I was a poor boy, and my best friend in like junior high, and still to this day, I talk to him all the time. He's a really good friend of mine. I would still consider him one of my best friends. His family had money.
Yeah.
Not like hundreds of millions of dollars kind of money, but like money where they could literally send us to an arcade with $80 and just go have fun. Let us know when you guys are done. You know what I mean? For me being broke, I was like, okay, cool. And they were like the nicest fucking people ever. They treated me like family. I love those people.
Yeah.
But everybody else sucks. Fuck them all.
Fair. So the other things that happened at this meeting were kind of connected, but so basically they voted to start contract negotiations with Roger Goodell to basically extend his contract, because of course they would, because Roger Goodell has made the NFL more money than any commissioner in any league ever.
I mean, if I was an owner, as much as I dislike Goodell, I dislike him for the reasons that if I was an owner, I'd vote to have his contract extended.
Right. But so the vote to start those negotiations was 31-1. And the one was Jerry Jones, who voted against the extension last time they extended him. So apparently Jerry Jones has some beef with Roger Goodell. I don't know about.
I'm sure if we dug into it, it wouldn't be hard. I bet you it's very public.
I mean, that's fair. But
I just don't care.
I mean, fair. And then this caused Jerry Jones to basically scream publicly outside of the building at Robert Kraft, and it was like, "Don't fuck with me," which makes me think Jerry Jones has some shit on Robert Kraft, and I'm like, the ownership is crumbling.
I'm telling you,
I kind of love it.
this whole thing, as much as I think Dan Snyder is a shitbag and I hope he loses his team, like, because of that piece of shit, we might see something truly amazing in the NFL.
I don't think there's any question that, like you said, I think Dan Snyder's a piece of shit. Like, he just is. There's no thinking about it. He is.
But anyway, this is an interesting one. I find this funny. This Jerry Jones has got to be careful though. Yell at Robert Kraft a little bit too loud. He might have a heart attack. I don't know if we need that.
Also, I mean, Robert Kraft is probably one of the most powerful owners over Jerry Jones, even. Because people kind of don't like Jerry Jones.
I would agree with that. I would probably say that.
Robert Kraft is there, and I can't remember their name, but the people who own the Steelers, they're like best friends with Roger Goodell.
The Rooneys? No.
Yeah. Yep. Rooneys.
Oh man.
But yeah, there's some beef going on in the ownership group, and it's interesting, and I'm curious to see what comes next, if anything.
Speaking of beef, we had a player kicked out of his own game by his head coach and then traded the next day in Robbie Anderson. I don't think I've seen someone get jettisoned from a team faster
so fast.
Ever.
I kind of want them to talk about what the altercation was about that got him kicked out of the game. Or maybe there was, and I just didn't see it.
I didn't see why he got kicked out of the game. Other than he was going at one of the coaches. So I don't know if maybe their head coach saw that and was like, no, fuck that. Go hit the showers. Because this happened to Vernon Davis early in his career for the Niners, where he was throwing a fit on the sideline, and I forget his name. He was the head coach at the time. He didn't last very long. He was there for like a season or two. But he was a former player, and he was like, "No, we ain't doing that shit here. Go hit the showers." He sent him in like I think it was like halfway through the second quarter. It was like the game was barely had started. But it put him correct. That's kind of what I thought was going to happen. So the next day when I saw that Anderson got just flat out traded to Arizona, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I basically looking at it, it looks like it was just multiple times he argued with the wide receivers coach. Yeah. And like they were just screaming at each other multiple times. And yeah. Just the coach came over and was like, get out.
Okay, I gotta take the L though. I'm gonna call it this early. Man, I thought Baker was gonna do something. All he's done is blow that fucking team up.
Yeah.
And he's not looked good either. Oh, it's so bad. He looked
decent against the Browns because it was a revenge game, and then just all downhill from there.
So bad.
And now looking at what the Browns defense has been like since then. Like, the Browns defense is the worst in the NFL right now. So, like, him having a decent game is pretty bad.
Yeah, it's not even that impressive.
Right. Everyone thought the Browns defense was going to be good. And they're like, oh, shit, Baker might be good there. Nope.
But, yeah, dude, this whole Robbie, I thought this was funny as hell. I think I messaged you right after this had happened.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, literally kicked out of the game one day, traded the next.
Yeah.
Talk about honestly, get the fuck out.
The Browns need some wide receiver help. I wish they would have gone after him.
Speaking of fortifying teams, though.
Yeah, this is a good one for you guys.
The Panthers, like I said, have been blowing shit up. And the Niners picked up Christian McCaffrey for like, what was it, 5 picks? I have it right here.
I sent it to you. It was 4 picks.
It was 4 picks. It was the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th for this year, I think. Yeah, and then 5th for next year.
Next draft, yeah.
Yeah, they got this next year's. That is a steal, in my opinion, if he stays healthy. Yes, because there was talks of them wanting 2 first-rounders for McCaffrey.
No, I would never give up that. McCaffrey...
I mean, I wouldn't give up 2 first-rounders for a running back, period.
Well, yeah. McCaffrey this year has not missed a game, but he's like middle of the pack running back.
In the
So,
well, I don't know. When he's healthy, I would put him top third.
I mean, 3, 4 years ago, yes, but then he hasn't
I
been healthy that
but
whole
and he's
time.
been
And
playing on a
now I don't
shitty
know
team though.
is well, absolutely true.
Like
They have no offensive line there. So
I
yeah, he very easily could go to San Francisco and ball out because like he is that good
if he's healthy.
if he is what he was before he started getting hurt all the time.
The part that's the only part that I say if he stays healthy is he's only played I think it's like 16 games in the last 3 years.
Yeah, it's something like that.
That's a little scary. 16 games in 3 years is a little scary. The good part is, though, with Jeff Wilson Jr. for the Niners, he won't have to be an every down back, so they can save him a
True.
little bit.
Although you assume if you're giving up that many picks for a running back, he's your number one
Well,
running
he's your
back.
number one, yes, but you're not going to workhorse him like you would like a
Right.
Derrick Henry.
Right. Yeah, he's not going to get 30 carries a game.
Our
But
running backs were actually not terrible. They're not good, but they're great, but they weren't that bad. The Niners running offense with Kyle Shanahan, that offense has potential to be electric. Like just
yeah,
incredibly electric. You have Debo, Brandon Ayuk, Kittle, now Christian McCaffrey. The only part you're really missing is a quarterback. And I like Garoppolo, but he hasn't looked good the last couple weeks. I'm hoping he can pick it up this week,
yeah,
but we'll see. I'm just really hoping Trey Lance can get back next year and actually kind of develop a little bit and be that guy. Because if you have those position guys, and then you have Trey Lance who theoretically could be better than Garoppolo, I think that's gonna be scary.
he didn't show it before he got hurt, but he had some really shitty conditions in those games to play in.
Yeah, I think the first game
So
they played in like a monsoon. It was
yeah, that
terrible.
was that Chicago game. It was ridiculous.
And people
But
were killing him after that game. I'm like, guys,
I know,
like the
right?
what do you expect?
I was like, look, you can't throw in that. And if you do, it's gonna slip out of your hand and it's gonna slip out of your receiver's
Yeah.
hands. Like,
I don't know. I couldn't believe that. So it's looking promising if he can if he stays healthy for the whole contract, like and he plays all but maybe one game a year or something.
yeah,
That's a huge steal in my opinion.
I agree with that. Yeah, he's averaging the third best in his career as far as yards per carry.
Yeah, the Niners
Um,
this year seem to be doing
but
what the Rams did last year. They're giving up all
stack
their
up.
picks. No, they have
Yeah,
literally no picks next year. None.
yeah.
Period.
But
So, I don't know. It's going to be
hey, if
interesting.
it works, there's rumors that DJ Moore is also on the trade block from the Panthers, so they'd be getting rid of their top two young receivers and Christian McCaffrey.
That's
And
as much of a blow up as I think we've seen it for a professional team in a while.
for the
Maybe for
NFL,
the NFL. I mean, I was going to say baseball, maybe what the Nationals.
I mean, what the Reds and the Nationals did last year
It's
was,
probably pretty much the same
yeah,
between last year because Soto's gone from the Nationals now too. I probably put the Nationals as that team.
basketball. The closest I can think of is when the Rockets traded away Harden and CP3.
And yeah, okay, yeah,
At least recently, in recent memory.
yeah, because we're
But
talking like literal top down like they're getting rid of everything.
right, but yeah. The last thing for the NFL is, as of today, Todd Gurley has officially retired from the NFL. He played 6 seasons. His first two, he was as good as anybody in the league, and after that, he was one of the worst running backs in football. Um,
It just
I
shows you
mean,
what one injury can do to your career, especially at
he,
that
I
position.
mean, especially a knee injury, like he was a speed guy whose like whole game was based on cuts. And as soon as you lose your knee, like that's you can't do the only thing that was making you good. Like
Yeah, yeah, it's tough.
it's
But
tough.
because you were saying you think if he doesn't get hurt and he stays healthy, you think he could be an all timer
I think
potentially.
he could have been a Hall of Famer. I mean, based on the first couple of years of his career, obviously, like, guys fall off all the time. It happens, but I mean, he went from literally the number one running back in football to a guy that, like, if you're playing fantasy, you don't even pick him up. Like, even not even like drafting. I'm talking like on a bye week, you don't even pick him up.
You're not picking him up off the wire.
Right. So, I mean, he had to retire. I don't think anyone was going to sign him. So,
I think he still made a good amount of money. Hopefully he did. For what he produced.
When he went to Atlanta after he left the Rams, he got a decent contract for a couple years, and so I mean, he made his money.
Hopefully he got the bag. I always feel bad for running backs because running backs, I think statistically, have the lowest, like the shortest careers.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I always feel bad when you see a guy go just nuts early in their career when they're under their rookie contracts, and then they get hurt and they never get that big deal. Like, they make money. Yeah. They make more than you and I probably will see in the next 10 years or 20 years.
Probably for our lives.
Well, yeah, with the way salaries are these days, yeah. But you know what I mean? So yeah. I always like to at least see the guys that are producing crazy get at least some kind of bag.
Contract. Yeah. But all right, let's get into the NBA, whose season started this Wednesday, 2 days ago.
I almost wore my Warriors hat.
Started off the season, Golden State and LA, and then Boston and somebody.
Philly.
Both championship teams won, I believe.
I don't know if Boston won. I only watched the Warriors game.
Boston won. Anyway, but yeah. So NBA is back. Warriors had their ring ceremony.
Did you see the rings?
Were they the ones that open, or was that something else?
No. So the ring has like a mechanism on the top that they can like spin or do something with, and it shows how many championships they've won with the Warriors. So like Steph, Clay's, and Draymond's, and I think I have 4. Looney's would have like 3. The rookies that won this year, like Poole, would only have 1. I was like, that's a dope way to show respect to your veterans that have been there without like doing
something a little bit different.
Yeah, because you can't do a different championship ring for like 3 guys on your team. You know what I mean? So I was like, I like the way they integrated that. It actually looks really cool.
And also, like, that's pretty dope if you win more. Right. To be like, yeah, this one was for the 4th one. This one was for the 5th. Like, you know.
I don't know if the design has ever... I didn't realize that the teams designed their rings every year.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it...
I mean, they work with a jeweler or something.
Well, yeah, no, but, like, I don't know why I thought this, but I thought that, like, the rings were made, like, from the league. Like, whether it's NFL, NBA, and they made the rings, or, you know what I mean? I always thought that. I didn't think about the teams actually, like, designing their own rings.
The teams pay for them. The league doesn't have any part of that. The league is just the trophy.
That's
the case for every sport.
I've always just assumed they were and never really looked into it because, like, why? Unless you really want to look at like rings that you'll never be able to buy or afford, like. So I've never really like looked that hard into it. So I didn't realize that.
It's nuts to me how many people get rings. Like when a team wins a championship, like. Obviously, the players, all the coaches, anybody who just played for the team throughout the year, even if they got traded, usually gets one. But then it's like, and the GM in the front office. But then you have like people who are like in charge of security get a ring, and people who are like concession managers and like
upper management all get it. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. It's nuts.
I knew that a long time ago because when you look at like the collector market for like the old rings, because those do hit.
It's always people that are not really players and stuff.
I've seen actual like side by side for MLB rings. I think they were Braves championship rings, from a player to like a staff. They're very different.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Very
yeah.
different.
The players get the crazy blinged out ones, and
Yeah.
the staff get a very basic, like, it looks like a class ring.
They're still sick as fuck, though.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I want to get a collection of the 49ers ones. The staff rings, the last collection, like a full set of them, not just like one or the other. It was something like $40,000 or something like, and they were and they were staff rings. These weren't even player rings. These were just like random ass people's rings.
Yeah, it's nuts. But oh well. Let's see. Sticking with your Warriors, Jordan Poole signed a 4-year, $140 million extension, which puts him through 2027, I believe.
Andrew Wiggins also signed a 4-year extension for $109 million. It was around the same time.
How are isn't there a cap on the luxury tax? Like,
so listen to this. If the Warriors pay Draymond, which they're not going to do, I don't think at this point.
No, I think Draymond's gone after his contract.
I do too. And I think he knows it, which is why I think he'll be on his best behavior for the rest of the year, because he knows that he needs to win another championship this year if he wants another one. Just my opinion, but I don't know.
He might. I mean, I feel like because he's won a bunch of championships, championship caliber teams will be willing to offer him deals.
I don't know at what level, but if they did pay him what he wanted, it would have ended up being, I think, like $112 million or something for the max for where he's available. The Warriors, in luxury tax, not their salary, just luxury tax, would be at like $490 million.
Insane. Also,
that is gross. I'm a Warriors fan, but that is gross.
Yeah. Draymond's under contract for 1 more year after
is
this
that
one.
what it is? Yeah.
Well, he has a player option, but like, obviously he's going to take that. It's worth $28 million. He's going to take the player option.
I don't know, but would you take maybe $3 million less for a 4-year deal? Like 3 more less a year. So like instead of getting 28, you got 25, but 25 over 4 years. So it'd be like $100 million deal.
You can't negotiate that with other teams. With
a player option, you're essentially a free agent unless you.
Not until you turn it down. If other teams talk to you about a contract before you turn down the player option, they can get.
Okay, let's be real.
Tampering.
Let's be real. It's gonna happen.
I mean, they just cracked down on this.
It's gonna happen.
They just did it.
But we also both talked about how the penalty wasn't nearly enough to like sway people.
Of course not.
But. So like it's gonna happen.
No,
I think he's going to the Lakers.
I don't think. Well,
I think
that'd be a bad call on his part.
No, not this year. I think after this year.
Oh, I know.
I think they'll retool that team too. I think they're gonna make some moves at the trade deadline, and they're gonna be getting rid of Westbrook. I think
been trying to do that for a while.
I don't know how much they've actually been trying to be honest.
I'm at the point where I feel like they should just cut Westbrook. I hate to say it with how talented of a player he is, but he's such a bad team player that he just can't. He hurts the team when he's on the floor.
Yeah, I don't know. I just like seeing the Lakers lose. 1, because it's the Lakers and I'm a Warriors fan, but 2, because LeBron's there and I just love seeing him unhappy.
I think LeBron's gone next year from the Lakers.
I think, okay, so we don't have this on here, but this has been coming up lately. There's talks of a new team going in Las Vegas. LeBron wants to be the owner of that team.
I don't know if the league will let him.
You cannot be an owner and a player at the same time. Michael Jordan found this out when he wanted to come back after he had bought the Hornets. Back then it was the Hornets. Is it the Hornets again? No. Yes.
They were the Bobcats.
Yeah, that's right.
The Hornets again.
Which,
by the way, the Bobcats are such a cooler name than the Hornets.
I love the Hornets jerseys better.
Dope. I loved the Bobcats.
Really,
With
I love the
the
teal, but
orange and the gray
I
with
don't
the
know.
like navy blue. Oh man, I loved Bobcats is such a cool name.
No.
Hornets are so meh.
Eh. Either way,
They're bees.
I I
It's fine.
I it would not surprise me if LeBron James, if this potentially is his last year as a player.
He won't. He wants to play with his son. He will not quit until his son's drafted.
I I would no.
He
This
will
is
be.
what I think will happen. I think he's going to pull a Jordan. I think he's literally going to do the exact same thing Jordan did. I think the team in LA is going to be established, and he's going to go out there as the owner. I think that's what's going to happen. But then I also think 2 years from now, because I think it's 2 years, his son is going to get drafted, and then he's going to sell part of his shares for a temporary, so that he can play for a year, and then I think he'll go right back to owning.
LeBron James Jr., Bronny, as he is known, is 18 years old. He's a senior in high school
So he's got at least
this year and then next year
so
in college or overseas or whatever he wants to
so
do.
would
There's a
be
lot of rumors that he's going to play at Ohio State. But
one. So that would be 24. 2024 would be when he would hit the draft.
that team is not going to be up and running by 2024.
I don't know. They have a lot of new facilities already out there with a lot of the new teams that have been moved from other sports. It wouldn't surprise me.
I doubt that a team wouldn't even be announced by now. And
Well, yeah, I maybe next year is a bit of a stretch, but I think he's gone pretty soon.
LeBron might stay with the Lakers next year, and then he'll be a free agent, and he'll go wherever LeBron Jr. is drafted, and destroy that team. No, actually, I don't think that. I think he'll take the veteran minimum, and he'll just go to play with his son for a year or two.
If he doesn't take the veteran minimum and that scenario happens where he gets a chance to go play with his son, I will never support anything he does for the rest of his life.
What if you? I mean,
that
you
is
have
so
to know,
greedy, bro. Like
You have to
you're
know-
a billionaire.
as a owner, you have to know that drafting his son means you have to pay him. You have to pay LeBron. Like, he's coming wherever his son is drafted. Did you just end the podcast?
No. No.
The live just ended.
Did it really?
At least on my screen. Oh no, now it's going again.
No, I think it just lagged. I don't know why.
Okay. Anyway. Yeah, so if, like,
Weird.
oh man, could you imagine if, like, somebody drafts LeBron James Jr. and then when LeBron comes, they're like, no, actually, we don't want to pay you.
Yeah, that'd be nuts. Honestly.
Oh, he'd be so pissed.
Phillies are leading.
Yeah.
I think it's 5-3 now. No, 4-2. 4-2. Just
Unless it just happened.
it
I have
literally
3-2.
literally double just happened.
Oh, okay. I was gonna
Come
say,
on,
I
Philly.
have it at
You're my
3-2.
last hope.
I know, right? I don't even care. I'm rooting anybody over the AL. I don't care if it's the Padres.
It's going to be
anybody
hard for
over
me
the
to
AL.
root for the Padres.
Over the Yankees or Astros?
I just won't root. I don't care.
Oh, okay.
I just if
Fair
it ends
enough.
up being like Padres Astros, like, I'm just checked out. Like, I literally don't care.
Well, I mean, you're saying if it ends up being Padres or anyone, because the other option is Padres Yankees.
That's true.
But yeah. Anyway, moving on. The Spurs retired Manu Ginobili's number 20 jersey.
I think that's good.
The first of many. Is David Robinson or Tim Duncan's number retired?
I don't. Well, I know Robinson's has got to be. I don't know. Duncan's has got to be.
You would think so, because he was the first to retire from that trio.
I was gonna say it's got to be.
It is.
Yeah.
So the only one left is Tony Parker then.
They're saving that for a special day next year.
Oh, actually, it says, according to a French newspaper, Spurs guard Tony Parker will have his number 9 retired on November 11th.
So it's just in next month.
Yeah, it seems weird. Like, I understand that jersey retirement is a like big thing for a player, but like I feel like if you're gonna do it 2 weeks later, just do them at the same time. That'd be dope for those two guys
I don't
to
disagree
get
with
their
you.
jersey retired on the same day.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
I mean, it had to be done. Those three guys were a literal dynasty for San Antonio. Like
I agree. I 100%.
they set the definition of what a dynasty is in modern sports. Like they were what, like 7 out of 8 championships, and they were in the playoffs like 20 some straight years or something.
I don't know how. I think they only won 5 total.
Oh no. I'm just saying they went.
Oh
like,
yeah,
7 out of 8
that.
years.
Yeah, I was gonna say they won 5 over the course of I think it was 19 years, but they were in the play, or was it
Yeah.
20? No, it was more than 19.
But that wasn't with the same three guys, because before Parker it was Robinson, Duncan, and Ginobili,
Yes.
and then Parker came like right when Robinson retired, or maybe they crossed over like a year or two. But
It wasn't much because Duncan was only played with Robinson I think for 2 years
yeah,
before he
yeah.
retired.
So
Maybe
I
it was
don't think
3.
Tony Parker played with him at all then.
But yeah, so they are. When you think of the Spurs, if you were to talk to anybody who knows even a little bit about basketball, and you said, list me some Spurs players, maybe not current, but just like in general, people who played for the Spurs, those 3 I think would come up on everybody's list. At least, especially people our age, because that's who we watched like growing up.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. And then you throw in oh crap, what's his name?
I don't know what's his name.
The guy the guy who played with them.
That's so Lakers. Specific. The guy who played with them.
Robert Horry. No, not Robert Horry. Crap. He was like an end of the bench player, but he's won like 8 championships.
That would be Ori. Ori's, I think, won the most championships outside of Bill Russell, or not Bill Russell.
No, there's a few guys who have more, but I have the list up right now.
I was just trying to sure because he's got 7.
Yep, there's 4 guys with 8, 1 with 10, and then Bill Russell with 11.
Okay. Damn, who's got 8? These have to be a long ass time ago.
I don't recognize any names.
Okay.
They're all Boston Celtics from the 50s and 60s.
Okay. That makes more sense.
Heinsohn?
Nope.
Casey Jones? Satch Sanders?
Casey Jones sounds familiar.
That's just because of Ninja Turtles.
No, it is not because of Ninja Turtles.
That's why it sounds familiar to me.
I actually didn't even think about that, but that's funny. That is his name, isn't it?
Yeah. And then John Havlicek. That one sounds familiar.
I know John. That name I know.
Any idea who has 10? Because it's not a name that I know.
No, probably not, no.
Sam Jones?
That is like the most basic name. There's no, I don't know.
He played with the Celtics when they won 10 in a row from 59 to 69.
That's insanity to me.
Right.
That to me is absolutely insane.
But yeah. And then there's a bunch of people with 6 because of Jordan. Kareem's got 6. But yeah. Robert Horry is the one I was thinking of. I thought he played with this says he only played with the Spurs for 3 years. I thought he played there longer.
Who? Sorry?
Robert Horry.
That doesn't surprise me too much, to be honest.
But anyway.
He hopped teams, but dude has 7 championships.
Did he help win a lot of them? No.
He helped win at least 2 of them.
He won. He played. but like I
No,
feel
he
like you
hit
could have
the
gotten
shot
other.
in two of them. Come on,
I
man.
understand,
Come
but like you
on.
could have
Give
gotten
Robert
other
Ory a
players.
little respect, man. Robert Ory
Like
is
I'm not.
arguably, he's not a superstar. He's not an all timer. He's, honestly, I don't even know if you'd say he's a Hall of, well, I would
No,
actually, he is. No,
no,
he is for this one reason. He is the
no,
most clutch player in all of
no,
basketball, period. Robert
no.
Ory, come on. Robert Ory is clutch.
Robert Ory won
Definition of clutch.
championships. There's a reason championship teams kept picking him up because he was a great leader and he was a decent bench player.
He was
He
clutch.
was never a starter. He was never a Hall of Famer. Championships don't make you a Hall of Famer. I stand by it.
I mean, he hit the shot for a couple of those. I'm just saying.
Anybody could have hit the shot.
I mean, are you sure about that?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of shots missed every year like that.
Moving on. Anyway, no, to finish up in the NBA, with the start of the NBA season, basically the countdown is on for when LeBron will pass Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for the all-time scoring leader. He is, unless they played since I wrote this down yesterday, which they're probably playing today, but not counting today, he is 1,294 points behind Kareem. Basically, if he averages 28 to 30 points, it'll be somewhere around the All-Star break. He'll pass Kareem for the all-time scoring leader.
To get it realistically by the end of the year, I think he only has to average like 18 points or something like that.
Yeah, it's under 20. He'll pass him this season. There's no question, and barring an injury.
No. No question, it's gonna happen. I'm gonna drink that shit. He's getting it.
Okay.
No, I actually don't want to see him get hurt.
One of the greatest records of all time is in any sport is the scoring, or however you tally that in that sport, whether it's RBIs in baseball or points in basketball, points in football.
Really, it's points by almost every sport except for baseball.
Baseball is tough because you could do runs, but like nobody really cares about the all-time runs leader.
Most people, when you talk offensive like dominance, which is what essentially the scoring title is, you would say home runs. No? Maybe RBIs, but I would say probably
RBIs.
But most people, I think, would lean first to home runs.
That's fair. Yeah.
But every other sport, like soccer, points, because it's goals, but goals are points. And hockey, it would be goals, which is points. Trying to think. Football, you would do maybe that'd be the only one different for offense, because maybe you do touchdowns instead of points. Because theoretically, the person that scores the most points on any team every year is the kicker, not any actual position player. Nobody's saying that the kicker is better than most position players. Yeah.
But yeah.
So maybe touchdown passes? I don't know, or caught? That'd be tough. Because there's so many offensive positions.
It's hard too because there are different positions and there's different ways to score. Like you can run, you can pass, you can catch. Like it's hard to compare positions in
football.
Like you can in baseball and basketball, where it's literally just anybody on the floor can make a basket, anybody can get an RBI. There is no like comparing different things.
It's very true. It's very true.
But yeah, so all right, let's get to a little bit of baseball before we talk playoffs. Jose Ramirez is going to have hand surgery. Apparently, he injured his hand before the All-Star break and has been playing the whole second half of the season with a basically really messed up hand. It makes a lot of sense because his statistical drop-off after the All-Star game was significant. The only stat he kept up with was RBIs. but his batting average dropped like 30 points in the second half of the
Oof.
season.
Yeah, that
Like he
hurts.
finished at like 275. He was up around 300 at the All Star break.
Ooh, that hurts.
His home runs, I think he only hit like 7 or 8 the second half of the year. Um, so he didn't tell anybody. Oh well, I mean, I'm sure the team knew, but like like fans, nobody really knew he was hurt, and it makes a lot of sense now.
How long is it supposed to be recovery time for him? It almost feels like it would have been
He'll
smarter
be
to have
back.
it done during the season.
No, it'll be a couple months.
Yeah,
He would have
okay.
missed. He'll be back by the start of next year, but no, if he would have had the surgery, he would have been out like several months. Like Cleveland probably wouldn't have made the playoffs, honestly.
It's okay. Does it hurt more that you make the playoffs and fail, or you just don't make the playoffs altogether?
Uh, don't make it all together.
Fair.
Especially for a team as young as Cleveland was. Like that playoff experience is invaluable to a team that young.
I do have
Like
to say though, that game 3 in Cleveland
the
was
comeback
the
game.
comeback. That game was insane. I was watching that and
God.
was just like, oh my god, that was
That's
insane.
I mean, okay. So like I understand what you're saying, but that's what Cleveland has been all year. They just never give up and they're that like scrappy,
Yeah, but in
annoying
that
team.
moment, like a
Oh
game
yeah.
you have to win essentially.
Yeah.
Like that
Right,
was
yeah.
that was
No, it was great. It
and
was so much fun.
my favorite part about it, there wasn't a single home run hit. It was
Yep.
all small ball,
That's
doubles,
again
single, like.
all year.
But that's what I mean. Like that's the baseball that is fun to watch, in my
Yeah,
opinion. That game was the pinnacle of like what I would consider a good baseball game,
I agree.
and it's a shame because you don't see a lot of that anymore. But that game was just beautiful.
Part of me really, I mean, it sucks that Cleveland lost because it probably won't be this way. But like, I feel like when the Royals won the World Series 26, no, 2017, 15. Anyway, the Royals played small ball. They stole bases. They were singles hitters, built on speed. And I feel like for a couple years after that, a few teams tried to emulate that, and it worked. And a lot of teams did pretty good with it. And then guys like the Yankees and the Dodgers started winning again, and they were like, "No, we got to go back to home runs." And I'm like,
Well,
"Guys, we don't have to do this."
but that's why I think the Guardians were successful this year.
Oh yeah,
Just like
right.
that
There's
style of
not
ball is just different.
outside of Jose Ramirez, there isn't well, and maybe Oscar Gonzalez, but nobody. I mean, the dude only played a third of the season. Um, Outside of those two, there isn't really a home run hitter on the Guardians. Like there isn't a guy who's going to hit more than 20 home runs on the team.
Yeah, I wouldn't
So
even
like they
honestly.
have to play that way.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just beautiful. In my opinion, it was just beautiful baseball.
Yeah.
That one particular
Well,
game, from all the games I've seen so far, has just been
yeah,
absolute money.
it was a great game. Also, I do have to say, just because Hall of Fame manager, it does speak to Terry Francona's managerial skill that he recognized that like this team is not going to hit 300, 400 home runs. Like we have to change the way the whole team functions, and we have to steal bases, we have to sacrifice bunt, we have to do all this stuff, and he adapted to it, and so did
Yeah.
the team. But anyway, all right, I wanted to talk about this one because it annoys me, and I touched on it last week. But the the fact that a lot of the games are not on basic cable drives me insane. Baseball is falling in ratings on compared to every other sport in the U.S., including hockey. They're the only ones with like declining numbers, and then you make it harder to watch the games. We're in the semifinals. We're in the championship round, and the games are on TBS and Fox Sports One.
It took me about, I don't know, maybe 5-6 minutes to figure out where the fuck the game was today when I got home from
Yeah,
work. I had to
that's
like
so
actually search it
stupid.
on my cable just so I could find it.
Like, what are you guys doing? This goes back to how much we've shit talked MLB for marketing. And then you do this where you make the games harder to find. You can't even watch them on MLB at Bat, which people paid for. You can only watch them on Fox Sports 1 and TBS. And like I don't get either of those channels. I literally can't watch the baseball games without pirating them.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the whole FS1 and all this stuff, but
It drives me
unfortunately,
nuts.
I think this is what we're just looking at.
It's I will say I am not I saw other people talking about this and it's what made me add it to the list. So maybe there's a chance that baseball hears that their fans are pissed that they can't even watch the championship series of the playoffs. Like, I just don't understand what. I understand that these companies paid a bunch of money for this, but you have to put it on something people can watch.
Without needing
Because they,
an actual like cable subscription
right.
would be
They,
helpful.
they put out, or I saw somebody put, probably ESPN, put out an article that was like baseball playoff numbers are like at an all time low. There's like a bunch of college football games last weekend got way better ratings than all the playoff games.
I mean, to
And
be
I'm like,
fair though,
yeah, because
it's
you
it's
couldn't
college
watch.
football though.
No, I get that, but like, it shouldn't be. This is the playoffs of baseball. Like, everybody tunes into the NFL playoffs,
It's not.
and I get it. I
Baseball
get
is
it.
just
The
not the same.
NFL, football is a bigger sport than baseball. Football is America's pastime
Bro,
now.
there's
I get
probably
it.
more people watching the Alabama games every week than there have been. Like college football in some places is just nuts. You know this probably better than I do.
I'm from Ohio.
Yeah,
I
I was
get
gonna say like you lived
it.
like in one of the biggest college football cities. So,
Well,
well,
states.
states at least, yeah, because you weren't right next to Ohio State, right?
I'm like where I grew up was like 4 hours from
Okay, so
Columbus.
so close, but not like super super close.
Yeah.
That's like almost me to LA, basically.
Yeah. Columbus is like south central of Ohio. And I was like very northeast corner. But
Yeah, those people. I mean, people out there take that serious.
I get it.
Nobody cares
But
about
like,
baseball right now when it's the Yankees Astros. Like, I'm sorry, they just don't.
well, I mean, Yankees Astros gets better ratings than Cleveland versus the Yankees.
I mean, probably, but it probably. I don't like that misconception because I don't think that's always true. Just because a small market team is in the playoffs or in a higher thing, I don't think that necessarily means that the viewership is lower because they're not big market teams. I think a lot of people genuinely like to watch the underdog against a juggernaut. I think that's why the
That's
Guardians
fair.
Yankees series was so compelling for probably a lot of people. I know a lot of
Oh,
people that aren't super
and it
baseball
was
fans and kind
close
of
too,
watch it.
which helps. I mean, if it was like, a 3-0 sweep, then people probably aren't interested. But because it was, back and forth series that, amps that up where it's like, okay, Cleveland's got a chance.
I don't know.
But
I think that's a misconception though, that just because a small market team makes it that no one cares about it. I honestly think the more big market teams that make it regularly, the
well,
less people care. Kind of like the Warriors in the NBA Finals for a while. Nobody gave a shit because it was like, okay, the Warriors are going to make it, whatever.
no, that's fair. But you're also not taking I feel like you're not taking into account the fact that big market means there are more people to watch in those markets.
I mean, that's true.
So
I don't know.
I mean, I think realistically the statistics for the rating or the ratings are up for those games, but I do agree with you that the casual baseball fan is more interested in a Cleveland New York series than it is New York Houston series. But,
That's all I'm saying.
yeah. All right, here's one for you, and that is the Rangers have hired Bruce Bochy as their manager. Thoughts?
I called it. We talked about
You
this
did.
last week.
You did.
Their rumors apparently were true. So it was a 3-year deal. I think this is great for the Rangers. Bruce Bochy, I have a lot of love for. Obviously, he won 3 titles in San Francisco. How could I not love the guy?
Fair.
I'm only concerned with the reason the Giants didn't extend him. One, because he just needed to get away from the game, which good for him. It happens,
Yeah.
especially
He earned it.
yeah, he definitely earned it. But they were going a little different route, more analytical, and he's more old school. So I'm curious to see how it's gonna work out for them. I don't think the Rangers are as much of an analytical team as the Giants are right now, because you got to think the Giants have Farhan Zaidi, who is a disciple, like a direct disciple of
Yeah.
Billy
The
Bean,
Moneyball.
which is Moneyball, and yeah, so we are very much about the sabermetrics, all the numbers and everything. I don't think the Rangers are going to be that tight with that, so I hope he does well there. I really do. I love Bruce Bochy. I think this is great for them, if nothing else, to help turn that culture around, because the Rangers have not been good for a long time.
No.
They've gone to like kind of okay, but they've never gotten to like actually like a good team in a while.
I mean, they were really good in probably like 2010. They had a team that was they won that division almost every year.
Yeah, when they had
were,
what was it who Delgado and Hamilton.
I mean, they had a bunch of guys,
yeah, like
Josh
yeah.
Hamilton.
But that was like
a big
early.
part of it.
Wasn't that early 2000s though? That wasn't like mid 2010. I thought that was like 2005, 8, something like that.
We'll look it up, but no. Josh Hamilton was in Texas 2008 to 2012.
Okay, so it was a little later than I thought.
So
a couple years.
kind of right around the 10 to 12 range.
Okay. I accidentally hit a button, grabbing my beer.
I saw it pop up, and I'm like, "Wait, what? Hello?"
But
all right, we're ending.
Okay, so yeah, so I guess you were around 2010 but that was like the last time they were genuinely like a good team. It's been a long time.
We'll talk about it in probably a couple of weeks now, I guess. Probably about 2 weeks. Whatever we'll figure it out. But I do want to look back at our predictions at the end of the year here at some point before we call it the off season. But I know I predicted the Rangers to be better than they were, because I really thought they spent a lot of money in the off season, and I really thought they would. I didn't think they'd like win the division or anything, but I thought they would be better than they were, because they finished probably 20 games under 500.
I forget where they were at this year. They were not relevant at all this year. So
not for a long time. Yeah, they finished 26 games under 500, 68 and 94. Almost 100 loss team. And for the money they spent, I really thought they would be better. So maybe Bruce Bochy is the answer.
I think he can massage some wounds that a lot of teams have, to be honest. The fact that he went to Texas, I think, is the only thing that's a little bit of a shock to me.
Yeah.
Because of the situations that are open, that's a little bit of a shock. I'm
trying to think what would be. I guess LA would be better. The Angels. Terrible ownership.
White Sox.
Players. That's true. White Sox would be a good one.
I would have loved to have seen him in Chicago, to be completely honest. I know you wouldn't have liked to have seen it, but I think his wisdom with those young players would be great.
See, I actually disagree. And that's part of the problem I had when they hired who was their manager? They just retired. God damn it.
I can see his face, but I can't think of his name.
I know, right?
Ah,
Tony La Russa.
there you go.
That's my issue I had with him, and I understand Bruce Bochy is not as old as La Russa, but he is an old head, kind of like you said. He's not an analytical guy. He's not a. I
He's
just feel like that team, because of how young they are, needs analytics. They need a young manager.
he's he's not an analytics guy, but he's a players guy.
Yeah,
Which I don't think you could say necessarily about Tony La Russa. He was a
no,
great
Tony La
manager, but
Russa was his way or
yeah,
the highway.
Bruce
Yeah,
Bochy is very much a players manager.
that's fair.
So yes, he's not an analytics guy, but he's a guy that once he gets to know his players, he will almost trust them to a fault. Almost.
That's fair.
And
I've had that criticism of Terry Francona as well. So
he's not quite as bad as Francona, but pretty fucking close.
yeah,
So like, yes, he's an old head, but I think he would get along well with the younger guys.
that's fair. I mean, I definitely think he'd be better than La Russa was for sure.
But
But
either way,
I
this
just
is a kill for the
yeah,
Rangers. This is
right.
great.
All right, let's get into some playoff baseball. We are in the championship series, so it is the semifinals. Um, we did end up with Astros, Yankees, and Phillies, Padres. Um, we are currently sitting at Astros are up 2 over the Yankees. Phillies and Padres are tied at 1. The Phillies and Padres are playing right now, bottom of the 7th, 4-2. Unless you're more up to date than I am. But
Hold on, I had to undo it because my internet
okay.
tonight is just like hating me. So I'm trying to find FS1 again. I don't know what fucking channel it is on my thing.
So to throw it out there, so Phillies won 3-1 over the Braves. You picked the Phillies in 5. I picked the Braves in 5. So you picked the right team. One more game. I picked Cleveland in 4. You picked Cleveland in 5. We both lost on that one.
Okay, to be fair though, I think we both knew deep down that they weren't gonna win. It was most likely gonna be the Yankees.
I actually disagree. I really did think Cleveland could win that series up 2-1.
I hoped and I saw the potential, but realistically in my head, when they lost, I wasn't like, fuck, man.
Oh, no.
I really thought they had that. It was one of those
That's totally fair.
I saw that coming, but the fact that they pushed them 5 games shows how good of a team they're going to be as long as they can keep people healthy and together.
I really did think Cleveland was going to win that series, but when they lost, I was like, I'm not surprised they lost. But let's see. You and I both picked Houston 3. That was correct. I picked LA in 5. You picked San Diego in 5. San Diego won in 4, which was a huge shock to everybody.
That shocked me. I didn't. I was watching the game and I'm like, oh, the Padres got to win this game because I thought they were gonna go 5, but I forgot they had won the day before. And like the 7th inning hit, and I saw on the little ticker on the TV that it was 2-1. I was like, holy shit! If they win this game, it's over. It's a wrap. This is it.
That's 2 straight years. Dodgers have won over 100 games and gone out in the division series. Or no, I'm sorry. Last year they lost in the championship series.
Yes.
To the Braves.
Okay, so 4-2, bottom 7, 2 outs.
Yeah. So Philly, as of now, in control of that game.
I hope to God they win. I'm holding on hope for Philly right now. I'm holding on hope.
So, yeah. Philly won game 1, 2-0. Lost game 2, 8-5. That was a little high scoring game. And then, currently up 4-2 in Philly.
Yes.
Padres have home field for this series.
Well, not Astros, anymore. Well, no, I guess they tied it up 1-1, so they still maintain it.
They'll go back to Philly if they need to. Like, it'll end in Philly, so it's still...
Well, yeah,
But
but the home team loses if they
oh, I
lose.
see what you
Yeah,
mean.
you
Okay,
lose home field if you lose so many games at home, but they
right,
didn't lose both at home. Because if they lost both at home, then they for sure then they lose it.
right. Well, yeah, it would go back to San Diego unless Philly wins the next three
Yeah.
in Philly, because
Ah,
I believe baseball is two,
it
3-2.
no, it used to be 2-3-2.
Is it 2-2-1-1-1?
If I'm not mistaken, over the
Okay,
last like 2 years, or maybe it's maybe a little longer, but it switched to 2-2-1-1-1.
that might just be the World Series because I'm looking right now, and
Okay.
it's the next three. Well, including today's game today, and the next two games are at Philly.
Oh, good, good. I like that
So
a little better in my opinion, but I also
mm,
understand that if
I've always hated that.
well, so Philly, so what I said was actually accurate then. Philly basically took home field
Yeah,
because they
correct.
now have 3 games at home and all they have to do is win and they're good.
Right. Yeah, I've always hated that playoff format because like I feel like that does take away as the home team or the team with the home field advantage. You do lose home field so easily that way.
Yeah.
But and then the Astros Yankees series has been the opposite. It's been all Astros.
Yeah, it's not even been really much of a contest.
They've been close games, but like the Astros have been in control. I don't actually think the Astros have been losing at all. I think they scored first both games and they've held the lead both games. But but yeah, Astros holding on pretty easily. They're up 2-0 in their first two games at home. They go back to New York starting tomorrow.
Oof. So what do you who do you have for these?
Um, I'm let's see.
Do you think
If
New
I'm gonna
York comes
pick for
back?
next week, I'm gonna pick Astros in five. I think New York gets one at home, but I think the Astros finish them out in New York.
Okay.
Um, uh, and then I think I think Philly gets them.
I mean, right now they're winning 4-2
I'm
going
gonna
into the
say
8th
it's
inning
six.
and it's tied 1-1.
I think they have to go back to Philly, but I think Philly gets that series. I think it's Philly versus the Astros.
I would agree with you that it is going to be Philly Astros, but I have different game sets. I think the Astros wipe the Yankees. I think they just go
Yeah.
4-0. I think unless the Yankees win tomorrow, it's going to be a quick series. It's not going to be a gentleman's sweep.
Okay.
The Phillies, I think, are going to be in 5. I think they win all 3 at home. I think both teams run it from here.
Interesting. That'd be. I mean, it's not impossible. Philly's been so hot in this
If
playoffs.
Philly can win tonight, and that's a big if because I mean there's still a couple innings left. There's still some time, and they're not up by like 8 runs or something like
Right.
that.
Right.
If they can hold on tonight and take a 2-1 lead, I think the Padres are shook, and you have home field at that point. You just got to win at home. If they win at home, they take it in 5. So I'm hoping, and I think that that's a possibility. I'm gonna go with Philly in 5.
Okay.
I think these series are over faster than you think, because I think both of the teams that are on the losing end at the moment are teams that maybe aren't quite as mentally tough.
That's fair.
Like the
Yeah.
Phillies had to fight through more than the Padres did,
I,
in my
mm,
opinion. And
I'd
honestly,
say
it's
Padres. You might be right because their stars are very emotional players in Soto and Machado. Um, and they're not as experienced. New York, I feel like, is different with guys like Stanton and Cole,
yeah, but they press
Judge.
so hard though.
They do, but they do have the
But
experience.
the
So
Astros don't press
I
that
mean,
hard. That's why I think the
true,
Astros just.
totally. I don't think there's any question the Astros win at this point. Being up or being, I guess, for the Yankees being down 2-0 to the Astros, there's no way they go 4-1 the rest of the series. I just don't see it.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if the way you have it set up at Astros in 5 and Philly in 6 happens. Like if the Padres
I
win
mean, yeah,
one of
we're
the
talking about
games,
one game
yeah, like
either way.
this stuff wouldn't surprise me. But I think if the Padres lose tonight, I think it's a little too demoralizing. And if the Astros, especially if they can win Game 1 in New York, I think it's a wrap.
I think that's. I just feel like you could be right on Padres Phillies. I feel like New York is too experienced. I feel like even if Astros win next game, New York's gonna come out and try. They're gonna go all out for Game 4 and win one.
Yeah,
Because man, can you imagine one what Judge is gonna do if they get swept, and two, I mean, it's New York. The fans are gonna go insane on them if they get swept.
if they
In
get
New
swept,
York.
that'd be money, in my opinion.
I mean, I'd love it, but
And then I'd love to see the Phillies sweep Houston, which will never happen, but I'd love to see it.
right.
I guess I can't say never. Anything's possible, but the chances are probably the same as getting struck by lightning. We'll just leave it at that.
My dad texted me and Jen last night and said, "Are you watching the Astros? I hope they win and beat the Yankees." And I was like, "They're my two least favorite teams in all of baseball. So I don't care who wins. I just want them to lose in the World Series. I'm all in on the National League. I don't care who. I don't hate the Padres like you do. I'm not like a Padres fan,
Well,
but
yeah, but that'd be like you rooting for the White Sox.
right. No, I totally understand why you're not.
Yeah.
But like, I'm not a Padres fan. I would much prefer Philly, but if it's Padres versus Astros or Yankees, I'm going for the Padres.
I mean, if I was forced to pick, I would pick Padres over either of those teams. But if that ends up being the matchup, like I just don't care at that point. It's all teams I like very strongly dislike. So
that's fair.
I just don't care. I'll watch it and keep track, but I just it's whatever.
Yeah. All right, let's get on to rating our beers. I, once again, had the Whitestone Brewery from Cedar Park, Texas, the High Fade West Coast IPA, which I'm realizing just now that I read High Fade as like getting high because West Coast IPA.
It's like literally on the can. It's the
I literally just saw it on the can that like the dude has a fade. I'm like, oh, I'm dumb. Anyway, I love West Coast IPAs because of the bitterness. I wasn't 100. If you watch the beginning, I wasn't 100% sure that's what West Coast meant. I just knew that all the West Coast IPAs I've had have been very bitter.
Well, now you know.
But now I know. So now I'm gonna get a lot of West Coast IPAs.
See, you just need to come out here.
I mean, accurate, but yeah, I really like this one. This one's been very good. So I am gonna mark this one at an 88.
Okay.
I didn't quite go to 90, but
the way you were talking about it, I was thinking at least an 86. So 88, that sounds about right.
I was thinking about going up to a 90, and then I was like, it's not my favorite. I've had other ones I've liked more, so I'm going to bump it down a notch or two.
Fair.
But,
all right.
What do you got?
So just a refresher, I have the Sugar Pine Coca Vanilla Porter. I mean, I could drink these.
What was the brewery for that?
So the
Sugar Pine, the brewery?
Let me see. No. Tioga Sequoia Brewing. Let me see if I can get it to focus. Come on, focus. Tioga.
I almost spelled it right. I put Teo
Oh yeah,
instead of Tio. Anyway,
yeah. It's okay. It's not my favorite porter, but if someone literally handed me one, I would be happy. You know what I
okay.
mean? Like it's a pretty
So
good.
so better than last week.
I do like it better than last week. I'm gonna rate it pretty moderately though, because like I said, it's okay. It's not great, but if someone handed it to me, I'd be much happier with that than like a Budweiser or
Oh, okay.
or even like a Heineken or like a Corona, which are considered more.
Or a PBR. Yeah.
No, it's not better than PBR. I haven't drank PBR. Maybe I'll save that for the last episode so we can rate that one.
There you go.
But I'd probably put it at like a 76.
Bro, I literally typed 76 like 30 seconds ago. The way you were talking about it.
Like it's good. It's above average. I would definitely drink it again, but it's not my favorite.
Fair enough.
The flavors were, it felt like a little watered down. It wasn't as thick of a porter as I'm typically used to, so it just wasn't quite what I was expecting, but it wasn't bad. And honestly, the ABV being 5.5, get the fuck out of here. Come on, you're a porter. Grow some balls.
That's funny.
But we'll leave that.
Showing up by my IPA.
Right? A porter getting shown up by an IPA. That's pathetic. Actually, IPAs are known to have really high alcohol when they're made like that one, the darker ones. I've seen some in like the 8.5%, 9%.
Yeah,
I can't drink those. Those are way too hoppy and like way too much for me.
Oh yeah, those are always the super hoppy ones.
Yeah, I
sure.
can't do those, but I've seen some gnarly IPAs.
Yeah, those are usually the ones I love. But okay, so by next weekend, we will both of the series currently happening will be finished, even if they go 7 games.
Yeah, the World Series game one's next Friday.
Okay. So
at least on the schedule. So
I'm always curious about that. Like if both teams win out and it's
done on Monday,
4-1, like are they really gonna wait 4 days?
I was talking to the wife about this. Yeah, they will, because you have contracts that you've signed for specific days for advertisement's sake and all that. So unfortunately, yeah, they probably would. I would bet would wait for I think the lower series is a little different because I feel like that changes. Obviously, like with the rainouts that happened with Cleveland and New York, they had a couple games shifted around and stuff like that. Yeah. But
that was some bullshit, by the way.
I didn't talk about it, but low key, I think the MLB like totally screwed Cleveland, my opinion. But
I agree. But
we'll just leave it. We'll just leave it at that. You want to hear more? Come in, ask us a question about it. Maybe I'll expand a little more.
Yeah, I'll definitely talk about it.
I told you this when it happened that I low key thought they were getting kind of screwed, and it was a little bit of favoritism being played toward New York. But either way.
And to be clear here, not related to the New York Cleveland thing, the World Series will be American League home field advantage no matter what.
Because they both have
both American League teams have better records than the Padres, who were the better National League team. So
that's unfortunate.
10 games. So it will be an American League home field, which, I mean, honestly, it doesn't really matter at this point because now that we have universal DH,
yeah, it's all the same.
It's not like you're playing, pitchers hit. But yeah, you are correct. It will be next Friday. During the podcast will be game 1 of the World Series. At least the World Series will be on a broadcast channel.
Right.
Even if none of the playoffs leading up to it were. And yeah, we will be live next
Friday
for the World Series game 1.
I'm excited for next week. Next week's gonna be fun. If you guys want to check us out next week, we're gonna be here during game one because I think it starts at like 6 my time,
You can double check that.
which is right when we start. I think that was when it was. It was supposed to be like a later game.
I just had it pulled up, but I just closed it. It doesn't have a start time, but I would imagine that it's like it might be like 5 your time.
Yeah,
Like
I think it might.
9 o'clock would be a late start for the East Coast.
That's true. It might be another 4:30 start like the game tonight. Either way,
I would guess it's 7 Eastern.
Ooh, so that'd be 4.
Yeah, that would
time.
be 4, maybe 7:30, 4:30.
Well, that's what the game tonight, the Philly game, started. It was at 4:30 my time.
I could see because it's game one. It could be 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock West. That would be about as late as they would go, though.
Probably. Especially because they'll be playing more on that side. Well, I guess Houston's no, because that would be only 2 hours up. But even still, starting a game at like 9 o'clock would be real late.
Yeah.
Sorry, 8 o'clock.
I couldn't see it being that late East Coast.
Either way, we'll be here and the game will be going on while we're streaming. So come by, check us out. If you guys like our podcast, we record this live every Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Talk a little bit of baseball, talk a little bit of other sports. We have some fun, drink some beers. Come by, check us out. If you want to check out some of our old episodes, we have some cool videos up with our top 10 movies. What was the other ones that we have? We have some really good, our favorite jerseys in the MLB. Some really cool stuff out there. Check them out.
Yeah.
But we will see you guys all next week for another episode of Bases and Brews, where we'll be talking about a whole bunch of stuff, as well as the World Series Game 1. Have a great week, everybody.
Later.